I want to talk about auditioning on camera and what is meant by painting the frame. Hey, this is Greg Braun, owner and acting coach at the New Collective Acting Studio, where we teach acting as a primary art form and promote creativity as a way of life. For actors, the process of auditioning is oftentimes more difficult than being on the set. One of the main reasons why this is the case is because we have to create so many things out of our imagination. Also, with self-tapes, the actor has to gain so much more knowledge about the camera these days and adjust their approach to the audition based on the structure of the scene. Here's an example. What if in the scene, the way that it's written, someone is sitting right next to you? If someone in the scene is sitting next to you, over your right shoulder or over your left shoulder, for example, for the audition, if you were to tape your audition, you would not put the person over your right shoulder, literally over here or over here, because as you can see, if I look this way to talk to the person that I'm in the scene with, you lose me. Same thing over this way. What we have to learn how to do is cheat the situation to serve the on-camera audition space. So instead of having the person over my right shoulder, for example, I would shift the person here. So you see my eyeline is not over my right shoulder, but it's just to the right of the camera lens. Same thing if the person is over my left shoulder. I would put them over here, which is the left of the camera lens. And as I'm talking to you in this video, I'm talking directly into the lens of the camera, which for an audition, you wouldn't talk directly into the camera lens unless it's indicated in the script. Otherwise, you're creating the illusion that you're actually in the television show or the film by placing the person you're talking to just to the right or to the left of the camera lens. So this is obviously different than the actual job when you're shooting and on the set. You would have a set. You would be in the environment that the characters were supposed to be in. The person that you're talking to, if they're over your right shoulder or over your left shoulder, they would actually be positioned there. And then they would move the camera to different positions and do coverage so that they could shoot the scene and get everybody covered, their angles covered in the proper way that you usually do when you do a film or a television show. Auditions are the only things that we have to make this adjustment for. That's where painting the frame comes in. As I described, if you're looking to just to the right side of the lens, that's one possible eye line or area to use. Then there's the other side of the lens, which is the left side of the lens. Both of these sides of the camera lens, left, right, are your canvas. Now, when you cross the lens from one side to the next, you don't have to avoid the lens and go over the lens, because that'll look a little bit unnatural and crazy. It looks like you're thinking about the camera. But if you just go from one side to the next side, when you cross the middle plane where the lens is located, that's actually a very big shift. And that is not something that all actors are aware of. It's helpful to know this because it's just knowing the space of film. When you cross the plane of the lens from one side to the next, it seems like a very short distance from one place to the next, but it's actually a very big shift when you go from one side to the other side. That creates space. It's fun to think about how you can craft an audition scene in this way. So there's many different examples of how you can paint the frame based on the situation. Let's say, for example, you're doing a car scene. These are one of my favorite scenes to work on, just in terms of creating the space of the car around the camera. It's different if you're the driver of the car, and it's different if you're the passenger of the car. So here's how we do it. If you're the driver of the car, for example, and you're creating the space of the car, you can slightly angle your body. And if you were looking to the left side of the camera lens, for example, that would be your window, your front window, the windshield. That would be you driving and moving through traffic and watching traffic, because of course when we're driving we need to pay attention to the road sometimes, and we don't always have to stay stuck on the person that we're talking to the whole time. And then when we cross the lens this way, and I have my eyeline over here, which is just to the right side of the camera lens, that would be my person that I'm talking to, the passenger, slightly over my right shoulder, but not over here like this, which is what would actually be happening in the car. But for the audition, you're cheating the person this way so that we can see into the windows of your soul. And that's the most important thing, is we have to be able to see in your eyes, because that's the windows of your soul, and that's where the inner life is happening, and that's where we can draw the audience into our character and into the life that's happening between our character and the person that we're talking to. When you paint the frame this way, I'm driving the car, looking out the window, having thoughts, thinking about my inner life, what I want to say to the person. Whatever's going on in the scene provides you with clues about that. And then I go from here, and when I want to talk to the person directly, I come this way. And it's a very small move as far as I can feel, but on camera, it's a very deliberate shift when you cross the plane of the lens in that way from one side to the other. The other thing you can create is movement. So for example, if I'm talking to the person that I'm talking to in the scene on this side of the camera, and I have them there, and we're having a conversation, let's say my character goes to another room, but I don't want to leave the frame. I want to stay in the frame, because I want the audience and I want the casting director and the director to see everything that's going on with my character and not leave the frame. Even though the character might leave the room, then maybe they come back later on in the scene. So if I'd like to create that reality and create movement without moving too far around the frame, which can be a little too much and a little distracting, I have the person that I'm talking to here. And then, for example, let's say I go to another room, I'm talking to the person here, and I decide to go to the other room. I would go here, and I'm in the other room, and I can create in my imagination the privacy or the inner life that's happening in between that moment of leaving the room and then coming back and resuming my conversation with my acting partner. So that's another example of painting the frame. One more thing that I'd like to mention, and this is an acting technique thing, or it's an acting skill. How do you paint the frame and also create inner life? So I think this is a really important thing to illustrate how you go about doing this. And we can go back to the car scene, for example. If I'm driving the car, and let's say my character is struggling with something, there's an inner struggle of some kind happening, I can put a place, I can put an object, I can put a person in my imagination on the left side of the camera lens. And imagine a person, or imagine something that can help provide me with the sensation of whatever that struggle is that I'm trying to connect to for the character. And while I'm doing that, the camera can see into my eyes, and everything that I'm connecting to can be felt right there in front of the camera. And this is a very important skill that we deal with in the technique of acting, even not in connection to an on-camera audition situation, but just in general when we're dealing with exercises that we do to help the actor find truth and authenticity in their work, using what we call the fourth wall, which is that invisible wall that exists between the actor and the audience. There are things that we can use our imagination to put different things there, and they affect us. The audience doesn't know that we're looking at something, but they can feel that we're having an experience. And it also helps you clear away self-consciousness and clear away that other awareness that's in the back of our minds. Of course, we're never going to completely forget that there's a camera in front of us, but using our technique and using our acting skills can help us find truth and intimacy in our work as we do what we have to do to tell the story of the character. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like and consider subscribing for more videos like this one. Go to the description down below for links to my acting studio website as well as my free weekly newsletter. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one.